team beat Toms River South in Detweiler Stadium right in the Indians' backyard to get off to a great start for this 1993 season. Today, the Pinelands Wildcats have their hands full at home as they entertain the Golden Eagles of Central Regional High School, a team under second-year coach Dan Duddy that's flying high, coming in here undefeated and posting 2 shutouts in a row. I'm Ken Turpin. With me, Tony Sarmarini. And Tony, I know the Wildcats have had a little bit of a stumble the last week. They're coming off a loss to Mater Dei, a team that Monsignor Donovan chewed up last night, and then the week before they had a tie. So I guess it's important for Demaray, the head coach of Pinelands, to get some momentum going again once again. And he's got a real tough challenge because Central Regional's defense is doing a heck of a job.
Well, Central's doing a real good job. They have 2 defensive coordinators this year. They've got Steve Healy, who was a longtime coordinator, took a year off, and then Vinny Casal came in. Well, Vinny and Dan Duddy talked Steve into coming back out, so they've got a great defense going. They've got 2 great defensive minds working on that side of the ball, doing an excellent job. But Central has not only been good defensively, they've shut out 2 people. They've only given up 15 points all year. They've scored 127 points. They've got the leading scorer in the county in Brian McCall. They've got one of the leading quarterbacks maybe in the state in Jason Pozo. Maybe his statistics don't show it, but we're just watching him warm up, and his arm is definitely big league. So I think Central has both Pistons firing. They look hot. The coaches from Central are a little bit, worried because they're in the same situation last year. They won their first 5, including this game against Pinelands last year, and then they lost 4 in a row. So they're a little bit wary. They say maybe it's the competition. They really feel that this is the beginning of their second season. For Pinelands and Coach Demery, he feels that Pinelands might have outcoached themselves. He took some of the blame himself for last week. He said, we tried to change things up. We didn't want to become predictable. But he said, we might have confused our own kids. So it's going to be a real battle today between the Wildcats and the Eagles.
All right, Pinelands, of course, when we saw them against Toms River South, DeLucia, 2-way player, looked real good, and Falzone, the new tailback, looked real good. Now, you and I were talking to Demaray before the game, and he said Falzone's tailed off a little bit, and you got to realize these kids for Pinelands are playing both ways.
That's right. There are only about 30 kids on the roster, and he has to use all his good ball players. He got hurt severely when Jim Belk got hurt, who was a defensive back, so he's had to move his quarterback over there. He's had to use Falzone and DeLucia both ways. They're getting a little bit worn down. Hopefully that they can come up with a big effort today, because in order for Pinelands to be in this game, my feeling, those boys both have to come up big for Pinelands.
All right, and of course for Central, they need momentum. They can't afford to stumble today. As Tony said, they're going in the toughest part of their schedule. They've got a red-hot Monsignor Donovan team on the schedule coming up, and of course Toms River South, which they haven't beaten in a long time, and Lacey Township on Thanksgiving Day, the perennial B Division champions. So today's very important for the Golden Eagles to keep winning. Tony and I will come back with a kickoff for today's game, and we got great weather down here in Tuckerton Sands, so we'll be back in just a moment.
All the coast schools at Goblin will be heading for the 56th annual Halloween parade here in Toms River.
That's right, Bill, and Channel 8 will be there to shoot all the spooky, spectacular signs.
So join us for the horrifying Halloween parade on Channel 8 live at 7 o'clock, October the 30th. See you then. I must get my seat.
Adelphia Cable's presentation of the Halloween parade is sponsored by Maruga's Tomato Pies and their new Toms River location.
I'm Ken Turpin. With me, Tony Sarmarini. As you look at the Pinelands Regional Field, across the way, the Golden Eagles of Central take the field in their traveling white with the garnet pants. And Pinelands now takes the field. They'll go left to right, kicking off to Central Regional. Pinelands in their home green and gold today. Tony, we got the fall colors for this game.
That's our crew was just mentioning that Central blends in with the orange. Pinelands blends in with the field. We won't be able to see. It's a camouflage game today, Ken.
Tony, you want to run down the officials for today's football game?
The officials are, referee is Joe Radoslovich. The umpire is Ralph Fuentes. The line judge is George Ross. The head linesman is Bill Sturdivell. And the clock operator is Brian Lynch.
Kicking off for Pinelands is Dan DeLucia, our player of the game, on the first telecast of the year when Pinelands beat Toms River South. Deep for Central, Tim Fogarty will wear number 20, and the ball's going to go out of bounds, a short kickoff, and that's going to run out around the 17-yard line. So Central will put the ball in play, and let me set the lineups for you, and then Tony will give you the captains today. The quarterback for Central, he's a good one. He's in his second year, Jason Pozo. The running backs will be Brian McCall, another veteran, number 33, and Andy Parks, a junior, number 42. The wingback, Mike Steers, he'll alternate with a newcomer, Walter Dudley. And the left end and the right end of the two tight end offense for Central will be Charlie Parlapanides and Jim Zellman. Zellman is a newcomer this year. The center is Pat Tunney. He's a veteran. The guards, Tony McCurry and Jason Montero. And the tackles, also veterans, Peter Versa, and the Slade Ellis is a real good one on the right side. Tailback McCall. And McCall picks up maybe a yard on a play, 2nd and 9. Let me set the defense for Pinelands in the front 5. Vinny Carinani and Devin Murray are the ends. John Morin and Barrett Servetto, the tackles. The nose guard is Lou Pescavage. The linebackers for Pinelands, Dan DeLucia and Tim Hammonds. The corners, Joe Falzone and Glenn Brown. And the safeties, Bob Leach and Josh Overholt. McCall, again the ball carry, gets outside. And McCall picks up a first down for Central Regional at the 49-yard line.
Finally dragged down by number 61, the middle linebacker, Tim Hammonds. One of the things that they wanted to do today, Pinelands, is go into a 5-3 and force Central to throw the ball. Even though Jason Pozo is an outstanding quarterback, Central has pretty much run roughshod over the first 4 teams. They wanted to force them to throw the football, stop the run, and that's why they're in a 5-3. You can see the 3 linebackers set up there in the middle to get pressure on the running game.
14-yard gain by McCall. First down Central at their own 49-yard line. They go to Andy Parks. He's a junior. He's new this year, 5'9", 185-pounder. He's got 2 brothers in the Hall of Fame of Central Regional. They were inducted this year together, Brad and Matt.
2 outstanding football players. They're outstanding football family, the Park family. And Andy Parks has rushed for almost 200 yards on only about 20 carries this year with a touchdown. Give you an idea of his ability.
And I feel old. I went to Central with his mother. Here's McCall. He's got a blocker. He cuts it in behind the blocker. He's got a first down for Central Regional. And Central comes out here on the move, on the ground, behind the running of McCall, the halfback who played a lot last year.
Well, Brian McCall is an outstanding running back. He's one of the leading rushers in the Shore. He's carried 55 times for 365 yards with 10 touchdowns. Give you an idea how dominant they've been on the line of scrimmage.
Tim Hammonds made the stop. Tony, Hammonds moved back. He was, I believe, playing cornerback in a South game due to an injury to Glenn Brown, but Glenn Brown is back. And Hammonds playing linebacker now where he's more used to playing. So this is McCall once again, Tony.
Right now, Central is dominating the line of scrimmage and moving the ball how they have all year.
Veteran line, Tony,
yes,
up
they
front.
are. Peter Versus, Slade Ellis, Jason Montero, Tony McCurry, and Pat Tunney. They played last year, and you can see that was one of the things from talking to the Central coaches that they mentioned how good their offensive line was.
8-yard gain, 2nd and 2 for the Golden Eagles. Jason Pozo, 6'4" quarterback, 3 sports star Central running the offense. Big hole up the middle. And here goes Parks. Parks is going to go, maybe. And he does. That's a touchdown. 32-yard run, Tony.
Good for 31 yards.
Well, they're going to call it 31 on the PA system. And Parks puts the Golden Eagles on the board. Time of the score, only 9 minutes and 11 seconds, Mark. So just a few minutes into the first quarter here, the Golden Eagles right down the field. Trying the extra point for Central Regional, Tom Loudon No, it's not. It's we got a different kicker today. It's going to be Robbie DiPiano. He's going to do the extra point. And DiPiano adds the point. Usually Tommy Loudon does all the kicking for the Golden Eagles.
Well, the Golden Eagles have had some problems with their kicking. See, here you can see the replay, and you see Andy Parks just pop it. Follow is blocking. Look at this. He finds the blocking and just goes right up in behind number 44, Mike Steers, into the end zone. 31-yard touchdown run.
DiPiano is a sophomore, 5'8", 175, the new extra point kicker for the Golden Eagles. So DiPiano's kick makes it 7-0. Central Regional, the Golden Eagles, looking like the team we've seen in the beginning of the year where they've rolled over everybody they play, Tony.
One thing that Pinelands didn't want to happen, Glenn Demery said he wanted to slow them down early. If he could get into the fourth quarter close, he felt he had a chance because Central hasn't had to play their starters in this fourth quarter this year. They've dominated so much. This is a veteran team with a lot of talent. They don't have a lot of people on their squad, but they've got talented football players.
Tommy Loudon, the kickoff for Central Regional. And he sends it to the near side of the field and out of bounds. And around a 21-yard line.
Well, in that situation, Ken, the ball comes out to the 35 on that penalty. The coach has an option of taking the kick over or taking it on the 35, and that's what Pinelands is going to do.
Here's the offense for the Wildcats. 3-year starter Josh Overholt is the quarterback. Dan DeLucia, our player of the game in the opening game of the year when they got a big win over Tom's River Staff for Pinelands, is the fullback. Joe Falzone looked very good in that win over the Indians to start the season as the tailback. He is new this year. DeLucia gets the call. DeLucia picks up 1 or 2. The flanker will be Mike Goggins, a sophomore. He'll alternate with Kevin Kirk, a senior. Jamie Kirkpatrick moves into the split end position. Tony will touch on the starter who's out with an injury in a moment. Devin Murray's a fine tight end for Pinelands. The center is Sean Cornell. He's new, and he's a sophomore as the line has been restructured since that win over South. Vinny Carinani's the veteran right guard. Vic Moore, a sophomore at left guard. Barrett Cervetto, the veteran at tackle. And Wade Miller is the other tackle. Eagles stack it up. Loss on the play. Back to the original line of scrimmage.
Captain Paul Dasty right on the ball, smacked the runner right at the line of scrimmage and just turned him over on his back. No gain. Now we have 3rd and 8, and Pinelands has to get something going offensively to keep Central off the field.
Central's 4-4 defense, the ends, Charlie Parlapanides, he started as a sophomore last year. Mike Steers, a veteran at the other end. Paul Dasty and Slade Ellis, 2 good tackles. The linebackers, Willard Dudley, Tony McCurry, Andy Parks, and Tommy Kearns left to right. 3rd down play for the Wildcats. Crossover tackle, and the ball carrier Mike Goggins, a sophomore flanker or a wingback. Sometimes they line up as a wingback. That time they brought the wingback around, and it's going to be short of a first down by 3 yards, 4th and 3.
One thing that they wanted to do was get a first down. They didn't. They weren't successful, but the play was successful. The 5-yard gain. Good blocking up there by Sean Cornell and Vinny Carinante. One thing that Pinelands has done today is move Barrett Cervetto to offensive tackle from his normal center position.
And Cornell, the sophomore, moves into the center position. And Belk, of course, he lost the fine when he was the split end. Central picks it up and avoided the fumble, and that was the sophomore, number 27. I should say, yeah, they have 2 sophomores to return, Fogarty and Hirschbaum. That was Brian Hirschbaum.
The thing is, it's important, is he didn't have a great run back, but he caught the ball so it didn't roll another 10 yards, and he's tackled right there. He saved Central 10 yards of field position, so now they can operate.
Ball's on a 21-yard line. Pat Tunney, who the dad played quarterback for the Golden Eagles for the late Joe Boyd, is the offensive center over the football. Pat from Seaside. And they go straight up the middle. Parks, the ball carrier. DeLucia makes the stop for the Wildcats.
One of those 3 linebackers. One thing that Central has done right now, they have very wide line split to move the defensive linemen from Pinelands out, and now all they're doing is giving a straight handoff. And if you miss a tackle, the offensive back is in the backfield before anybody has a chance to react. If we can get a picture of that, get an idea. Look at those gaps. They got about a yard gap between each lineman.
2nd and 7. McCall coming outside, avoids one tackle, cuts it back, avoids a second tackle. But good pursuit. DeLucia's there for the Wildcats. And also making the stop, I believe, was Karen Nanny. And I should credit number 76. Lou Howe. We haven't mentioned Howe, but he was in there on that play.
Lou Howe made that play along with Dan DeLucia.
Howe's a big one. Get his weight here, 5'9", 220, sophomore. 3rd down and 5 for the Golden Eagles. Beautiful sunny day here in Tuckerton. A little bit of a breeze, could be a factor on a field goal maybe. Bootleg by Pozo. He's got a blocker. He's got room. Pozo, 1st down for Central, out of bounds, right in front of the Eagle coaches.
Ball carried by number 12, Jason Pozo.
One thing that you notice about Jason Pozo is the fact that he just kind of glides down the field. He just wisely saw that the people were covered, saw they had a chance to get a 1st down. And you can see him right here, just how smoothly he comes out here, realizes he's got plenty of room, follows his blocking, gets the 1st down, steps out of bounds. A minimum of effort. He looks so silky smooth. He really is impressive.
5:31 left to play 1st quarter. Central 7, Pinelands nothing. Pozo picked up a 1st down at his 37-yard line. He fakes to the fullback. He wants to throw. Got a man open. And he turned the wrong way at first. Had to turn around, Tony. And incomplete.
Jason Pozo on that ball put the ball 40 yards in the air, right on the hands of the receiver. I think it was number 89.
Zellman.
Was it Zellman?
Was it Zellman? I said Zellman. I couldn't see his number. Could be part of Panitti's.
It was number 88, Jim Zellman, and Jim Zellman had it on his hands but couldn't hold it because he had to turn back the other way.
Central plays 2 tight ends. They keep the ends in tight for most plays. And here's a 1st down at midfield. And Central Regional's Parks rolling on that play.
Andy Park's been averaging 8 yards a pop so far this season. He's continuing that already.
Well, that's the 2nd time they picked up a 1st down at the 49-yard line. They did it in the 1st drive, and here they are back again. And the Golden Eagles showing they can run the football on Pinelands so far. This time they bring a wide receiver, a flanker back to the near side. They line up in the I formation with a slot back. The give is to the fullback, and Parks just barrels over one tackler and picks up another yard or two, very close to another 1st down. Pick up about 8, Tony.
Well, you know, there's not a whole lot of reason for Jason Pozo to have great statistics when you run the football like this. And, you know, people are saying, well, what's wrong with Pozo? There's absolutely nothing wrong with Pozo. They've been so dominant that Jason Pozo hasn't had to use his talent so far this year. But if they need it, it's there. You can see him throw that football.
Late substitute, and they have to call timeout. They tried to get number 81, Ian Kerwin, on the field.
Ian Kerwin, he's the defensive end.
And we have a 1st time out of the ball game, charge the Pinelands, 4:15. Hard to read that clock in the sunlight, but it looks like 4:15 to play in the 1st quarter. As you look at the Pinelands coaching staff, why don't you run down the Pinelands coaching staff, Tony?
Okay, the Pinelands coaching staff, head coach, of course, Glenn Demery, defensive coordinator Detlef Kern, Russ Young handles the secondary, Walt Ramsey works with the quarterbacks and defensive ends, Paul Estabrook, is the defensive line coach. Sean Ludolf and Vince Patiglieri are the freshman coaches.
And Tony, the captains for Pinelands today.
Pinelands captains are number 6, Devin Murray, number 9, Josh Overholt, and number 54, Barrett Servetto, whose father played football at Southern a number of years ago. I'm not going to say how many because I coached him.
All right, I won't say either. Steve DeLucia is calling the defensive signals for the Pinelands Wildcats, the linebacker. Here we go. Central 2nd and long 2. Tailback McCall, and McCall breaks a tackle. McCall still going. He's got a 1st down, a lot more. Nice run by McCall.
Barrett Servetto, number 54, the defensive tackle, came back and made the play on that. Here's the replay. See it right now. He pops up the middle. You see number 54 drags him down, coming from the right defensive tackle. He made the play.
Central with a first down at the Wildcat 33-yard line. Full house backfield for the Golden Eagles. And McCall with two blockers, the other two backs to lead them to the right. And McCall is going to pick up about 3. 2nd and 7 for Central Regional.
Tackle made by number 33, Bob Leach, on that for the Pinelands Wildcat.
Ball's on a 29. Golden Eagles with one score very quickly today on the opening drive of the ball game, threatening again.
One pass thrown in 2 series. It was incomplete, but they have moved the ball very, very successfully on the ground.
Power formation, everybody in tight, getting a full house backfield for Central. They give to the right halfback, and the right halfback picks up nice yardage, and we do have a penalty flag on the play. Let's see if this is going to come back. Was that number 41?
That was number 44, Mike Steers,
All right,
on that.
Steers, the ball carrier.
44, Michael Stiers.
Now, Steers will usually line up as a wingback, but that time with a full house backfield, they brought him into the backfield.
There's the replay. You can see the blocking, and there's some kind, I think there's a holding call on the block on the defensive end there.
Big
and it
penalty,
moves the
Tony.
ball back.
All the way back to the 42 of Pineland. 2nd and 20. 1st and 20 to go back to first down for the Golden Eagles.
So far, what Glenn Demery and his defensive staff wanted to do isn't being successful. They wanted to stop the run and force the Golden Eagles to throw. The Eagles haven't had to throw. They've only thrown when they wanted to.
I formation, a call to tailback. Pozo to throw. Plenty of time. And at the last minute, number 54, Barrett Cerveto, defensive tackle, 240-pounder, got in there and sacked Pozo.
Barrett Cerveto was a Class B South offensive lineman this year. Talking to his dad earlier, he said he's really picked up his defense. Coming from the right defensive tackle, used a nice spin move off the block to make the sack on Pozo. Notice how strong Jason Pozo stood in the pocket, waiting for the receivers to open up.
2 minutes and 14 seconds left, first quarter. Slot formation to the far side, split backfield. Pozo, hands off. And McCall cannot get loose. He avoided one tackle, but there was help on the way, and the Wildcats stack it up.
Lou Pascavage disrupted the play in the backfield, made him go the other way, and then the linebackers could come up and make the tackle. Good play by the nose guard, Lou Pascavage.
All right, Central forced into a punting situation at the Pinelands 49-yard line. Our punter should be Tommy Loudon. Joe Falzone back for Pinelands. And Central has a man down there very quickly. And no return on the play. Tommy Kearns got down there very quick on the special teams for Central.
Yes, they did, and apparently the football touched a Pinelands football player.
Central's going to
recovered
get
by
the ball
Central.
back. And they're on the 15-yard line, Tony. That's a bad mistake there by Pinelands.
That's a big mistake. You can see it right here. Take a look. Nice punt. Joe Falzone moves away from the ball. Okay. And it looks like number 83 tripped over the football, Kevin Kirk, and that's a big mistake.
Here we go. Golden Eagles. Wing to the right. I formation. Parks and McCall in the backfield. Parks going strong. Parks just short of the goal line. Almost had a second touchdown, Tony. Running hard.
Yes, he is. Andy Parks doing an outstanding job on that play. Number 56, Tony McCurry, came across and threw a nice trap block on the defensive tackle to open it up for Parks, number 42.
All right, called a 13-yard game by Andy Parks. First down and goal for Central Regional at the 2-yard line. There you see Pozo bringing them up. Full house backfield once again. McCall, touchdown, 2-yard run by Brian McCall, 5'10", 185-pound senior halfback. Central 13, and Pinelands nothing. Time to score 32 seconds of the first quarter. So the Eagles take advantage of the Pinelands Wildcat mistake on the punt, and they go in for their second touchdown. Here's DiPiano attempt the extra point. We have a official timeout here. And maybe an equipment problem with one of the Wildcats, Devin Murray, coming off the field. And they'll send a substitute in for Devin, and it'll be Bob Leach, the safety. Now we're ready to go. The sophomore, extra point man, DiPiano. And it's good. So Central Regional 14, and the Wildcats of Pinelands 0. Here's the replay, the touchdown. Just see a power. They just moved the Pinelands defensive line back, and McCall followed them right in for the touchdown. We want to thank Tom Procopio, Director of Athletics here at Pinelands Regional, for allowing us to do the game today, and the hospitality Tom always shows us when we come down here to Pinelands. And, Tony, we got Dennis Toddings here scouting. His Monsignor Donovan Griffin's looking very strong. He tore up Modern Day last night. And talking to Coach Toddings, he said they were very worried about Modern Day, which the week before had knocked off Pinelands 16-7, and they were a little bit worried. And what happened is the first play, the second or third play of the game, Jamie Toddings turned a corner on an option, and that pretty much set the tone for the whole game. They're up 28-0 at halftime and didn't have any trouble with the Modern Day serve. I also, the Southern Regional freshman coaches here scouting, they're getting ready. They have a big game next week with Central. And, of course, Donovan 2 weeks has Central. Right. Here's the kickoff by Loudon, end over end. Short kickoff, and about a 7-yard return by number 31, sophomore wide receiver Mike Goggins on the return. So Pinelands gets pretty good field position here at the 33-yard line as they begin this series. Well, they've got to get some offense going to keep Central off on, as Coach, talking to Coach Vinny Casal, he said that the offense for Central was much improved over last year. And I said, even with the loss of Rondell Taylor, and he said, yes, their offensive line was so much improved. Their offense is vastly improved over last year, and we can see that in the first two series. All right, they're going to go with DeLucia, trying to get around the corner. He does turn the corner. DeLucia first down out of bounds around the 44-yard line for Pinelands. Let me give you the secondary for Central. I didn't get a chance to mention that earlier. The cornerbacks for the Golden Eagles, John Tice, a sophomore, and Jason Pozo. Ed Matero's been out with an injury. They're hoping to get him back in here so Jason only goes one way. And Brian McCall, the outstanding halfback, plays safety. You can see the breeze there with blowing things around the tower there, Tony. That's where we don't want to be. A little windy up there. A little windy and chilly. We like it in a warm press spot. Timeout, Pinelands. Or was it Central? I didn't see who called that. Might be the quarter. Is it? Yeah. Here's the replay of the last play. You see DeLucia make an inside fake, get around the corner, and get about a 15-yard gain. Nice run by Dan DeLucia. We are at the end of the quarter, so the score, Central 14, Pinelands nothing. You're watching the game of the week on Adelphia Cable, Channel 8 in Tom's River. Tony and I will be back in just a moment.
Baffle me a little bit, Rick. I can't understand what they draft for sometimes. A couple of years ago, they had a shot at Doherty and Moses and Barkley, and have those three guys at the front court. I thought that would have been one of the greatest front courts of all time. They gave Doherty away, they traded Moses, and they wound up with Barkley. So whatever is in their head sometimes, really and truthfully, I don't know. I think Barkley should have gone out of Philly for the three guys they got. And whether Stone is it? The guy that they drafted, what I think that they want is a transition player. You never know.
Yeah, they say that Witherspoon is a Barkley type, but saying a guy is a Barkley type is a long way from being a Barkley.
I'll remind you that Candidates Night will be presented this Thursday and Friday here on Channel 8 at 7:30 p.m. Your candidates will be responding to questions posed by a media panel, and what they say could influence how you vote. Candidates Night is presented as a service to you, our viewers, and on Election Day, you'll be making decisions that will affect the state, county, and your municipalities over the next several years. Candidates Night, because nobody covers politics like cable.
All right, back to the second quarter of today's game. The Wildcats of Pinelands in green hosting the Golden Eagles of Central in white and red. Overholt on the quarterback keep, and Overholt picks up about 6 on the carry.
Well, one of the things that can happen when you run a 4-4, if you split those tackles a little bit, you open up a natural gap up inside. The Pinelands coaches recognize that, called the quarterback draw. Just turned out those tackles with their guards, and Josh Overholt had a nice 6-yard gain.
You want to mention the Central captains today, Tony?
Central captains are number 78, Paul Dasty, and number 32, Tommy Karn.
Second down play for the Wildcats in the I formation. Fullback DeLucia. And DeLucia picks up maybe 2 yards. On the stop for Central Regional was number 70 and 56, I believe, was in there. McCurry and number 70, Montero, on that defensive line. Jason Montero, Jr., back up. He plays offense and then backs up for the defensive lineman. He's in there now. 3rd and 2 at the 46-yard line of the Golden Eagles. Overholt keeps it rolling, and he can't escape one of those linebackers coming in there to shoot him down. Was that Kearns?
Number 34.
I don't have a 34 on my roster, so nobody knows who it is. So we're going to have to try to find out who that is, Tony. Here's a replay.
You see the replay, and you see the nice play made by the linebacker, just dragging him down for a loss, forcing Pinelands into a punt situation.
We have no 34 on our roster, and we weren't told before the game there was any change. That punt's going to roll down around the 15-yard line. Pinelands covers it. And DeLucia downs the ball.
Nice kick by Joe Falzone. He got a low line drive and got a break when it turned over and rolled another 20 yards and was downed on the 15-yard line.
Second quarter action here at Pinelands Regional on Nugenttown Road in Tuckerton on a beautiful fall afternoon. Bill King's here today, my old buddy from the Asbury Park Press.
Bill King, tremendous